What's up, everybody? RuckinScott here. So today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be tuning the carb on my GY6 Ruckus. So what we're going to do is we're going to use an AEM wideband in order to be tuning that to get the air-fuel ratio correctly. It's not going to be a permanent fixture, so we're just kind of doing a temp install just to tune, and then we're going to pull it back off. So with the AEM wideband, it's going to be real simple. This isn't going to be used. This is going to be used for a car. So this just plugs into a 10 amp fuse underneath the battery box there, and that's going to be our power. This is going to be our ground. This wire runs to the O2 sensor, and I have a GY6 hot lap exhaust with an O2 bung already welded into it. So we're going to hook that up. We're going to adjust the idle, and then we'll adjust part throttle, full throttle, and whatnot, and see where air-fuel mixture is, and we're gonna go from there. So first thing we're gonna do is get this battery box off. Alright guys, so we're gonna go ahead and take the battery box off now. Just take these bolts out here. Make sure you lay these bolts on the floor so you can go ahead and kick them all over the place. Seems to be what always happens. All right, so now we got the battery box screws out. We're just gonna pop it off. All right, so pop the battery box off. Like so. I've got these connectors and they're taped up, so I'm just gonna kind of lay mine down nicely. Like so. And we're going to take our gauge. So I got a little ghetto fabulous and a little innovative. I took a red solo cup. Hopefully my camera angle's good. I took a red solo cup and I cut it and stuck the gauge in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the gauge and the cup in my cup holder. Since, like I said, this is just temporary. So we're going to take our power and ground wire, which is these ones here, and I'm just going to take the 10 amp fuse out, which I should have gotten something to help me pull it. So let's get something to pull it, and I forgot that I'm also going to need a screwdriver on that, so let's go ahead and do that now. Alright, so I got a little screwdriver just to pop in here. Kind of loosened it already. So one thing I forgot before we do that, what I need to do is thread my wires through here so it can sit down in there. So I'm going to run these this way like so. And this is going to be different for you guys because, well, unless you're running the same cup holder, you can do the same idea. But basically I just want to be able to have it to where it can set somewhere. You could always zip tie it somewhere else as well. Or anything you have to hold it, unless, like I said, you're actually running a gauge pod and you're going to be running the gauge permanently. Then of course you're going to want to set everything up differently. You're going to want to actually splice into some wires and solder and do everything correctly. Mine is going to be for tuning purposes only. So I'm going to tune it, then I'm going to take it back out. Which this is a good time to give a shout out to my buddy William. He actually currently lives in Korea and I'm in Japan. So he was nice enough to go to the post office, box up his gauge, his personal gauge, send it to me so I could tune, and then I will mail it back to him. So that's a good friend. So thanks, man. Big shout out to you. He's the one that made this possible. All right, so we got that threaded through there. That's how that's gonna sit, which for being temporary, I'm actually pretty happy with that. I'll probably stick something down in here because, moving, it's gonna vibrate. And then also, if you have a GY6, you know how much vibration they get anyway, so. And this is gonna be pretty much the same if you're running the Git or anything else. So there's not too much that's going to be specific to just the GY6. Some things might be a little different, but it's going to be the same concept for any scooter, or yeah, any scooter, any engine. Like I said, might be some difference, but same basics. So we got our ground here. So I am actually going to, I don't really like the way that fits. That's pretty big. I'm gonna actually sandwich it. Does it fit? That should give us a contact, right? Hopefully. Ooh, that's no good. We're gonna have to go the other way. So these connections are actually set up for running it on a car, which is why they're a little different. And since, like I said, my buddy loaned me these, I'm not gonna go cutting and splicing different connections on there and such like that, because I have to give it back to him. I'll probably end up picking up my own, but for now I can get the scooter tuned and we'll be good to go. I've actually got my GoPro on a head strap I bought with I bought like a kit off Amazon, and it came with a whole bunch of stuff, and this head strap was one of them. And I thought, man, that's kind of stupid. When am I ever going to use that? Well, here I am, working on the Ruckus, wearing my head strap. So, guess I was wrong. And I hate these little things here. See if we can get up underneath of it, hold it up so the screw hits. There we go. Now we're in business, I think. Lined up? I don't think it's lined up. There we go. Heck yeah. Alright, so we got a power, we got a ground. Only thing left would be to run this to the sensor. We're gonna put the sensor in here. We'll do that here in just a second. Alright guys, my camera angle is pretty shitty after reviewing some of the footage, so just a really fast recap. All we did is we plugged the space in here where it goes into the fuse, and the 10 amp fuse is already here. That's our power wire, and our ground is just a little eyelet that goes underneath the ground on the battery. I've got the cup holder holding the gauge, and this is just a red Solo cup. I cut and stuck the gauge in there. I'll probably stick something just right here so it keeps it from keep it from moving, excuse me, too much, and I ran the wires back out through there. So that's where we're at on that. All right guys, next up, we are going to remove our O2 plug we have here in the bung. So I'm going to take an Allen wrench and take that out. And we're going to install our O2 sensor. Now, obviously it's already disconnected, so it's not a big deal, but when you take this out, make sure you disconnect it so you're not twisting the wires all around. I hate seeing people do O2 sensors and they're just twisting wires around until it comes out and then twist it back. Over time, that's really gonna start messing up your O2 sensor and such. So just take the extra couple seconds it takes, do it properly, disconnect it. Sorry, now I'm not using the head mount because the camera angle is wrong. So I'm trying to hold the camera and hold this at the same time. All right, so we got that put in there. The only thing left to do is we are going to connect this to that, and we're going to test to make sure we have power. And we have power. There we go. So what I should note, guys, even if you're doing this temporary, so what I'm gonna do, and I'll show you guys it also, but make sure you take these wires and just zip tie them up somewhere. Throw some electrical tape on it, something. Don't just leave them hanging. You can have multiple issues. The better of the issues you could have is it catches and rips out your gauge and messes up anything else. Worst case scenario, it gets caught up and you could actually crash. So just because it's temporary, don't leave it too ghetto. Take your slack, because this is meant for a car. So you can see how long this wire is. I'm gonna take the extra and I'm gonna zip tie it to the seat frame, to the frame, whatever. Just make sure that you've got your slack pushed up somewhere so it's not just dangling. Alright, so now, the best I can, I'm going to try to put the battery box back on, see how that goes. If not, I'll just have to disconnect my blinker setup. Should be able to just run these out the bottom. Hopefully, we'll see. I got too much crap going on. My battery box is, underneath the battery box, the wiring is super shitty. I'm meaning to fix it, but alright, so it looks like I can, for the most part, put it back on. Try not to get in the way of the camera too much so you guys can see. Alright, yeah, looks like I can even bolt it back up and everything. Should work nicely. I even made it without kicking bolts around. There we go. Boom. The other side. There we go. Now, we're just going to double check that I still have power to the gauge. And we're good. So next up, we're going to fix the wiring and plug this in. There we go. Alright, so I was talking about zip tying this up, and I could not find my zip ties for some reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to coil this up nice and neat, not anything too tight. Like so. Leave a little slack. And I'm going to tape this up, and I'll have to find my zip ties eventually, but as long as we're not letting anything drag the ground or get caught up in anything, we should be good. Alright, so I'll have to clean tape resin off as the bad part. But I'm going to tape this there, so that way it's not caught up in anything. How did I manage to get the tape backwards? What the heck am I doing? This is why I'm not a famous YouTuber, because I suck. Yes, I'm putting a lot on there, but I don't want it coming off. Alright. You guys can still see. I'm going to do something similar to this. Coil it up nice and neat. This one isn't so bad, it can't go anywhere. So this one isn't as much, and it's not as big, but I'm really worried about this one, because if you see, that's where the front wheel is, and I don't feel like getting caught up and crashing. I don't want my tuning video to turn into I crashed my Ruckus video. So we'll just put some tape there to make sure that it kind of stays out of the way. That's another big thing. If you guys hook a gauge up, make sure that one, you're in an empty, safe area of a road that you can go wide open throttle, you can slow down, there's no cars. And make sure you're not paying attention to the gauge too much. I know you're going to need to look down at it and see it. If you have a camera you can put on it, that's going to be ideal. But please, please, please don't hit anything or anybody while you're riding, trying to look at your gauge and get the tuning. So I'm going to put some gear on. I'm going to push the Ruckus outside, and we're going to test it out.